At our baby's first birthday, my mother-in-law snatched the cake away and declared, "I'll be the one to make his wishes come true." My husband chuckled and said, "It's just a cake." Smiling, I stood up and announced, "Actually, his wish was for you to leave, and I'm granting it." Her face twisted in rage as guests applauded. I, 33 female, am a first-time mom. My baby boy, Noah, had just turned 1. We live in San Diego, and for his birthday, I planned something small, just close friends and family, some balloons, finger foods, and a cake I had custom-made from a small bakery downtown. I was exhausted, like any new mom. I was still nursing. I was still figuring things out. But I wanted this day to be good, not perfect, just good. A memory to look back on. I didn't expect it to go the way it did. The problem in the story is my ML. Let's call her Vera. She's my husband's Mark, 35 male mom, and from the moment I got pregnant, she made it clear she thought this baby belonged more to her than to me. I could write a whole post on the things she said and done, but I'll focus on this one day, the day she crossed the line for the last time. Vera has always been overbearing. She likes being in control of everything. She's one of those women who thinks being a grandma means full access, no questions asked. Every boundary I tried to set, she'd ignore or laugh off. She called Noah her baby. She gave him food we said no to. She called me too sensitive for not letting her post naked bath photos of him online. She told people she was basically co-parenting. It was exhausting, but I was still trying to be the bigger person. I didn't want to start drama. I didn't want to fight. I just wanted to enjoy my son's first year without turning it into a war. For his birthday, I told her, nicely, that I had it covered. She kept calling, texting, asking if she could bring clowns, ponies, a magician. I told her no. We're not circus people. We just wanted something low-key. She said I was robbing him of memories. I said we'd make plenty of memories without turning our backyard into Disneyland. It was a sunny Saturday. We had friends over. My parents were there. Mark's siblings showed up. Noah was in a little bow tie onesie, drooling and laughing like he always does. I had the cake delivered that morning, a vanilla cake with light blue ombre frosting and a tiny teddy bear on top, because Noah loved his stuffed bear more than anything else. Everything was going fine. Vera arrived late, of course, in a big dramatic entrance. She wore a red dress that looked more like she was attending a gala than a kid's party. She handed out little gift bags with her face on the tag, "From Grandma Vera's heart to yours." We ignored it. Tried to stay calm. I didn't want to let her ruin the vibe. Finally, it was time for the cake. Everyone gathered around. Mark lit the candle. I brought the cake out. People were smiling, taking photos, laughing. Noah was clapping. It was the best moment. Then Vera walked up. Without saying a word, she grabbed the cake out of my hands. I froze. I thought she was joking. But then she turned to the crowd, held the cake like it was a trophy, and said, "I'll be the one to make his wishes come true." It wasn't funny. It wasn't cute. It was uncomfortable. Everyone just stood there stunned. And my husband? He chuckled and said, "It's just a cake." Something broke in me. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't curse. I just smiled, stood up, and said, "Actually, his wish was for you to leave, and I'm granting it." Dead silence. Then someone I don't even know who clapped. Vera's face turned red. Not embarrassed red, rage red. She stood there with the cake in her hands, like she couldn't believe someone told her no in public. She slammed the cake down on the table, ruining it, by the way, and stormed out of the yard, muttering about how I was mentally unstable and jealous of her bond with the baby. Mark just stood there. Didn't say a word. That night, after everyone left, I asked Mark if he was going to say anything about what happened. He shrugged and said I made too big a deal out of it. I told him that she stole the cake out of my hands. That she humiliated me in front of our friends. That this wasn't just a one-time thing, it was the final straw in a whole year of her acting like I didn't matter. He said, "It's just how she is." So I told him something I had been holding in for months. I said, "I'm done letting her disrespect me. And if you won't set boundaries, I will." He got defensive. Said I was being dramatic. Said she didn't mean harm. I said she's been harmful since day one. I listed off everything, how she tried to call Noah Duke, a name she made up, and kept using it, just for fun. How she repainted the nursery while I was in the hospital recovering from childbirth. How she fed him strawberries at 4 months and then lied to me about it. How she told people I had postpartum depression when I didn't, just so they'd feel sorry for her and say she should help take over. He sat there quiet for the first time in months. I didn't wait for his response. I started planning. I didn't want revenge just to hurt her. I wanted it to stop. I wanted peace. And the only way to get that was to make sure Vera understood what consequences looked like. So I started collecting everything. Every weird message she'd ever sent. Screenshots. Voicemails. Social media comments. Every time she said something nasty or passive-aggressive. Every time she showed up without asking. Every time she posted a photo of Noah without permission. I documented it. I opened a private Google Drive folder and saved it all. She once left a voicemail saying, if anything ever happened to you, I'd raise him the way he deserves. Creepy? Yes. Saved? Also yes. Then I talked to a lawyer, just a consultation. She walked me through the steps of setting up a legal boundary. A formal letter. A potential restraining order if things got worse. Even the possibility of limiting grandparent visitation rights if needed. I didn't go public yet. I didn't block her. I wanted to be strategic. But I was done playing the quiet, polite role. I was no longer going to let this woman treat me like a babysitter in my own child's life. This was just the beginning. After the party, things didn't settle down. They got worse. Vera didn't apologize. Instead, she started playing the victim. 2 days after the party, I got a Facebook message from one of her church friends. Hey, I heard you kicked Vera out of Noah's birthday. I hope everything's okay. She's really upset. Upset? She stole a cake out of my hands like she was the main character in a soap opera. And somehow I was the villain? I didn't answer. I just added it to the folder. At that point, I had screenshots, voice notes, social media comments, enough to write a short novel. But it wasn't just online. The real problems were happening inside my house. Mark didn't take my side. Not really. He didn't defend Vera either. He just shut down. Anytime I tried to talk about what happened, he'd say, can we not do this right now? Or, I'm tired. He wasn't helping with Noah much. Wasn't talking to me. He started coming home later from work. I asked if he was avoiding me. He said no, but his eyes told the truth. One night, I brought it up again calmly. I said, Mark, this is our child. And I'm not going to spend the next 18 years fighting your mother for space in his life. Either we are a team or we're not. He didn't answer right away. He just looked down at his phone. So I asked the question I had been avoiding for weeks. Are you seeing someone? He froze. Then he said, no, but maybe I wish I was. That hit me like a punch to the stomach. The next day, I packed a bag and took Noah to stay with my sister for a week. Not forever, just enough time to clear my head and figure out what the hell I wanted to do. That night, Mark texted me. I told my mom she can't come over anymore. Are you happy? I didn't answer. He was doing it for the wrong reason. Not because he believed she was wrong, but because he was scared I might actually leave. But here's the twist. While I was at my sister's place, I got a message from Vera's ex-husband, Mark's dad. Let's call him Ron. Ron and Vera divorced years ago. He lives in Arizona now. He never got involved in our lives much. But he wrote me this. I know things are bad with Vera. I stayed married to her for 20 years. I know what she's capable of. Be careful. She doesn't lose quietly. I was surprised. I didn't even know he knew what was going on. I asked him how he found out. He said, she called me crying. Said you turned Mark against her. Said you're trying to steal her grandson. Said she might take legal action. Legal action? What action? I'm the baby's mother. I didn't do anything illegal. I didn't even raise my voice. Ron said she used to pull the same thing during their divorce. Pretending to be the victim, trying to turn people against each other, and if that didn't work, threatening to sue. She never won. But she made everyone miserable. I called my lawyer again. This time, I wanted things in writing. Not just a letter, real paperwork. We drafted a formal no-contact order that applied to Vera and Noah. It wasn't court-issued yet, more like an official warning, but it was ready if she pushed. Then I made something else. A private Instagram page. Just for close friends and family. No Vera. No public posts. It was called Noah's World. Just pictures of Noah growing up. His first steps. His giggles. His baby curls. And Vera? She didn't get access. Not even a peek. A few days later, she texted me. I heard there's a private page. Why am I not allowed to see my grandson? I didn't respond. Then she sent a long, emotional message about how much she loved Noah, how she was sorry if she offended me, and how she felt like I was punishing her unfairly. She ended it with, you can't erase me. I'm his blood. A week later, Mark called and said he was going to stop by with diapers and some stuff I'd left behind. I agreed, thinking maybe we could talk calmly for once. He came alone. But someone else showed up 10 minutes later. Vera. She parked across the street. Sat in her car. Watched the house. I saw her through the blinds and froze. I told Mark, your mother is sitting out there. Did you invite her here? He said, no. I swear. I didn't believe him. She didn't get out of the car. Just stayed there, engine running, like she was waiting. Eventually, she left. But it rattled me. I called the lawyer again. We pushed the no-contact warning into something stronger, paperwork for a temporary restraining order. I didn't file it yet, but I had it ready. I also had a long conversation with Ron. He told me things I didn't know, about how Vera used to fake injuries to get sympathy, about how she once made Ron's new girlfriend lose her job by filing false complaints, about how she kept photo albums of Mark as a child and used them like weapons. I realized something. This wasn't just a difficult woman. This was someone who didn't understand limits. Someone who had never heard the word no without finding a way to turn it into a yes. I told Ron I was going to do whatever it took to protect Noah. He said, "Good. Somebody has to. Mark and I are barely talking. He says he wants to work things out, but his actions don't match his words. Vera hasn't shown up again yet, but I know she's planning something. I can feel it. She's quiet now. Too quiet. Which means this isn't over. Not even close." So, I was waiting. Vera had gone silent. Not a text. Not a call. Not even a drive-by. It was almost peaceful. Too peaceful. Mark and I were still in a weird place. He'd stopped defending her, but he wasn't exactly supportive of me either. Just neutral. Cold. Like he didn't want to be involved anymore. We were coexisting, sharing baby duties, barely talking. Until something strange happened. One Tuesday morning, 2 weeks after Vera's silent exit, I opened the door and found a woman holding a clipboard and wearing a county badge. She introduced herself as a CPS worker. I swear my stomach fell to the floor. She said someone had made an anonymous tip about possible child neglect. That I was overwhelmed, possibly unstable, and that Noah was being left alone for long periods. I lost my breath. She asked to come in. I let her. What choice did I have? Noah was napping. The house was clean. There was fresh food on the counter. Bottles sterilized. Diapers stacked. I showed her everything: his room, his closet, our routines. She was kind. She told me she didn't see anything that raised concern. But she still had to file a report. Just protocol. Before she left, I asked her, "Can you tell me who made the call?" She shook her head. "It was anonymous," she said. But off the record? This didn't sound like a random tip. It sounded personal. I didn't even need to think. It was Vera. Nobody else would say things like unstable or overwhelmed. That was her language. She'd said it before at the party. To Mark. Online. She was trying to set me up. Trying to make a record. Something she could use later if she ever did take legal action. I called my lawyer the second the CPS worker left. We added the visit to the file. My lawyer said if Vera made another move like this, we could push for an official restraining order with evidence of harassment. But I didn't want to just defend anymore. I wanted to go on offense. Later that week, I got a call from an old friend of Mark's, someone I hadn't talked to in over a year. Let's call him Derek. He'd been Mark's roommate in college and was the kind of guy who remembered birthdays and never unfriended anyone. He said, "Hey, I heard some crazy stuff about you through Vera." I wasn't sure if I should say anything, but it's bad. I asked what he meant. Turns out Vera had been reaching out to Mark's old friends, anyone who followed us online, and spreading lies. Saying I had postpartum psychosis. That I was abusive. That I'd hit Mark. None of it was true. Not even a little. Then Derek said something that made my blood run cold. She told us she's filing for emergency custody of Noah. Said Mark's going to support her. That night, I confronted Mark. I said, "Are you talking to your mom behind my back?" He looked guilty. He didn't deny it. Turns out, Vera had invited him to a family counseling session with her pastor. He went. Didn't tell me. She told him I was trying to cut him out of Noah's life. She cried. She said she was scared I'd move away with Noah and never come back. I asked Mark point blank, "Did you agree to help her get custody?" He said, "No. But she's my mom." I didn't know what to say, I interrupted. "If you don't know what to say, you say no. You say she's lying. You protect your son's mother." He said nothing. That silence said everything. A few days later, I went back to the folder I'd been building: the screenshots, voicemails, videos, everything. I transferred all of it onto a flash drive. Labeled it, just in case. Then, on a hunch, I logged into our shared laptop. Mark and I used to use the same Dropbox account. We hadn't in months, but I'd never changed the login. There, inside a folder called Work Projects, I found a recording. It was the counseling session with his mom and her pastor. I hit play. It was 42 minutes long. And for most of it, Vera cried about how I was alienating Noah, how I screamed in front of him, and how I needed help. But the worst part? Mark didn't correct her. Not once. I sent a message to my lawyer that night. We started the paperwork too, 1. File for a protective order against Vera, including the CPS visit and recorded lies. 2. Draft a custody plan that legally kept Vera out of any decision-making or visitation. 3. Lock down Noah's information, medical records, daycare pickups, even his photo access. Then I gave Mark a choice. I said, you either stand with me and protect your son, or you step aside. But I will not let your mother raise my child. He tried to cry. Tried to say he was confused. Said he didn't know who to believe anymore. I said, believe the flash drive. It's all there. That weekend, I got an email from an unfamiliar address. The subject line was, "This isn't over." Inside was just one sentence, "You're not fit to raise a child." I'm doing what I have to. No name, no signature. But I knew who it was. Vera was quiet in public, but behind the scenes, she was still working. Still pulling strings. Still trying to paint me as unstable. But I had everything ready. Documents. Dates. Audio. Witnesses. She thought she was building a case. But so was I. I didn't answer Vera's email. I didn't respond to Mark's excuses. I just waited for the moment everything would crack wide open. It happened sooner than I thought. One Saturday, Mark texted me out of nowhere. Let's talk. My mom wants to apologize. In person. I replied, no. He texted again, insisting. Said she was finally willing to admit she went too far. That it would bring closure. That maybe we could move forward. I didn't believe it for a second. But a part of me needed to hear it. Or maybe I needed her to hear me. I told him I'd meet them. Neutral ground. My sister's house. She offered her backyard. Said she'd stay nearby in case it got out of hand. We set the time for 4 p.m. When the day came, I dressed plain. No makeup. No earrings. No softness. Just jeans and a sweatshirt and my flash drive in my pocket. I had nothing left to prove. Mark arrived first. He looked nervous. Not scared, guilty. Then Vera pulled up in a sleek black car like she was attending a business meeting, not a family talk. She wore a beige blouse, pearl earrings, and sunglasses, like she was trying to look expensive and innocent at the same time. She hugged Mark. Not me. Didn't even try. Then, she looked around and said, "Where's Noah?" I said, "With someone who protects him." She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. We sat down around the patio table. My sister sat a few feet away with a book, pretending not to listen. But I knew she was ready to jump in if needed. Vera cleared her throat. I know things got out of hand. I just want to fix this. For Noah. I stared at her. Fix what? I asked. The part where you lied to CPS? Or the part where you tried to convince people I was crazy? Her face twitched. Just a little. I never called CPS. I pulled out my phone. Pressed play on a voicemail I hadn't shown Mark yet. It was her voice. Saying, if the state won't look into her, maybe someone else will. Mark looked sick. You recorded her? I said, I documented her. Because you wouldn't listen. Vera's hands clenched. You know what? I did what I had to. You're unstable. Controlling. You're trying to cut me out of my grandson's life. I won't let that happen. There it was. No apology. Just the truth. She didn't want to make peace. She wanted control. And for once, I didn't flinch. I pulled out the flash drive and set it on the table. This has everything. Every text. Every lie. Every time you called me a bad mother. If you ever go near my child again without my permission, this goes straight to a judge. Mark just sat there, hands in his lap, silent. Then Vera exploded. She stood up and screamed, "You're poisoning my son. You've brainwashed him." My sister stood up. Walked over. "You need to leave," she said, calm but firm. Vera turned to Mark, wild-eyed. "Say something." He didn't. She slapped the table. "Say something." He looked at her. His eyes were glassy. And then he said, "Mom, you need help." She froze. "I wanted to believe you meant well," he continued. "But you've crossed every line. I let you. And now I've almost lost my family because of it." Tears welled up in her eyes. But it wasn't sadness. It was rage. Her mask cracked. "You'll regret this," she whispered. Then she turned. And walked away. Mark sat there for a long time after she left. My sister brought us water. He didn't touch his. Then he broke down. Said he felt stupid. Ashamed. Said he believed her because she'd always played the victim. His whole life, she'd made herself the center of every room. Every story. He said he didn't realize how deep her manipulation went until he heard her lies out loud. I didn't comfort him. I said, "You let me drown in this. You let her come for me. For her son." He nodded. Said he knew. Said he didn't deserve forgiveness. I didn't disagree. Vera emailed again. No apology. Just this. Congratulations. You've destroyed a family. I didn't reply. Mark blocked her. We finalized the protective paperwork. Vera no longer had access to Noah. No photos. No visits. Nothing. She told mutual friends I was cruel. That I'd brainwashed her son. Some believed her. Some didn't. I stopped caring. Mark asked if we could try therapy again. For real this time. Not just for appearances. I told him I'd think about it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay. But I wasn't sure if I wanted to leave either. What I didn't know was this. For the first time since Noah was born, my house felt quiet. Safe. There were no more surprise visits. No screaming voicemails. No fake apologies. Just me. My baby. And a calm I hadn't known in over a year. Vera wasn't just a bad mother-in-law. She was a reminder that some people believe love is ownership. That biology means entitlement. That being loud makes them right. But being a parent, a real one, means protecting your child even when it's messy. Even when it's lonely. Especially when no one else stands beside you. Mark failed at that for a long time. He's trying now. But I still remember the silence. The doubt. The way it felt to stand alone, holding the pieces of a cake that someone else thought they deserved more than you. And every time I look at Noah, I know I'll never let that happen again. Not for cake. Not for family. Not for anyone.